Welcome back, everyone. We go to a journey into the heart of American history, mystery, and numismatic treasure, the story of the 1-cent Liberty 1976 Lincoln penny. This isn't just any coin. It's a tiny piece of metal that carries the weight of a nation's pride, artistry, and evolution. What if I told you that this simple copper-colored cent could be worth an unbelievable $233 million today? Yes, you heard that right, a single 1976 Lincoln penny, something you might think of as pocket change, could actually be worth more than a luxury jet, a mansion, and a fleet of sports cars combined. Stay with me, because today we'll uncover every detail from its creation, hidden features, errors, rarity, and collector fascination that makes this small coin one of the most talked about treasures in the world of numismatics. Let's begin by taking ourselves back to the year 1976, a year bursting with celebration and pride in the United States. It was the year of America's bicentennial, the 200th anniversary of the nation's independence. Every street, every home, and every government office was dressed in red, white, and blue. The country was honoring 200 years of freedom and democracy. Special commemorative coins were minted that year. Quarters, half dollars, and silver dollars bore the dual date 1776 to 1976 to celebrate this monumental event. Yet, the humble 1-cent coin, the Lincoln penny, kept its classic look, carrying the single date 1976. That alone made it stand out as both a continuation of tradition and a symbol of everyday America. Now imagine the power and significance of this coin. The obverse, or front, still featured the dignified portrait of Abraham Lincoln, sculpted by Victor David Brenner in 1909, to mark the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. His calm and thoughtful expression, facing right, symbolized progress and unity. Above him, the word liberty stood proud, a timeless reminder of the core value that defines the American identity. To the left of Lincoln's image was the date 1976, while just beneath it, depending on where the coin was minted, you could find a small letter D for the Denver Mint, or none at all if it came from Philadelphia. Each letter, each marking, tells a story of its birthplace, where thousands of workers and machines collaborated to create something ordinary yet extraordinary. Flip the coin over, and you'll find the majestic Lincoln Memorial, a powerful and elegant symbol of honor and remembrance for the 16th President of the United States. On this reverse design, which replaced the earlier Whittier's style in 1959, you can even see a tiny statue of Lincoln seated inside the memorial, a detail so fine that many people never noticed it until they used a magnifying glass. Above the memorial, the bold words United States of America remind you of the country's strength, while E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, captures the spirit of unity among diversity. Beneath the memorial, the simple words 1 cent remind us of its face value, but in today's market, that phrase could be the most ironic line of all. So, what makes the 1976 1-cent Lincoln penny so valuable? Why are collectors and experts willing to pay millions for it today? The answer lies in its details, variations, and the hidden stories behind its minting. In 1976, the U.S. Mint produced pennies primarily in copper, just before the transition to zinc-based coins in the 1980s. Each 1976 penny was composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, a formula that gave it its warm reddish-brown tone. But within these standard issues, a few rare specimens emerged, coins with extraordinary minting errors or unique physical characteristics that set them apart from the rest. Some of the most valuable 1976 Lincoln pennies come from double-die obverse errors, where the coin's front side was struck twice, resulting in a ghost-like doubling effect on the lettering or date. When viewed under light, these coins showed doubled images on the word liberty, the motto "I in God we trust," or the numerals of the year 1976. Such a minting flaw, caused by misalignment during the striking process, instantly transforms a regular coin into a collector's dream. Another category of rare 1976 pennies includes off-center strikes, where the design is visibly misaligned, leaving parts of the coin blank, a striking visual reminder of how imperfections can create immense value. Now, imagine discovering one of these rare coins in your old collection or tucked away in a forgotten jar of change. The excitement of realizing that the penny you once ignored could be worth thousands, even millions, is a feeling only true collectors can understand. Over the years, stories have surfaced of individuals finding rare Lincoln pennies in circulation, coins that fetch staggering prices at auctions. A pristine 1976 Lincoln penny in mid-state condition with a unique error can fetch anywhere from tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars. But in the case of the ultra-rare variant that experts estimate could reach a jaw-dropping $233 million in value, we're talking about one of the rarest pieces in American coinage history. Why such a high value? It's not just about rarity, it's about legacy. Coins like this often hold historical significance beyond their metal composition. Some are believed to have been special mint strikes, experimental pieces, or even presentation coins crafted for dignitaries. Theories abound that certain 1976 pennies were struck using prototype dies intended for testing new alloys or design features during the U.S. Mint's experiments leading up to the late 1970s changes in coin production. If such a coin were authenticated with a unique metallurgical composition or die variation, its worth would skyrocket into the hundreds of millions, not just for its material but for its place in history. To understand the fascination with the 1976 Lincoln penny, you must appreciate the passion of coin collectors, known as numismatists. For them, every coin is a story of design, craftsmanship, politics, and human effort. The Lincoln cent, being one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history, holds a special place in American hearts. Since 1909, it has witnessed wars, economic transformations, and social revolutions. Each variation, from the wheat reverse to the memorial design, represents a chapter in the nation's evolving story. The 1976 version, minted during the bicentennial, captures the essence of national pride, a coin that quietly coexisted alongside commemoratives celebrating 200 years of freedom. Collectors often examine 1976 pennies under microscopes, studying the tiniest details: the thickness of the lettering, the shape of Lincoln's beard, the sharpness of the strike, and the shine of the luster. They categorize coins into grades, ranging from circulated and worn to mint state and proof. A coin graded MS-70, meaning it's flawless under magnification, is the ultimate prize. For the 1976 penny, an MS-70 specimen with a rare die variety or copper anomaly is so uncommon that it could command astronomical prices up to that legendary $233 million estimate when paired with historic significance and perfect condition. Beyond the money, there's something deeply emotional about this coin. Think about it, the 1976 penny connects us to an era of patriotism and pride. People carried this coin in their pockets during celebrations, parades, and fireworks marking 200 years of American independence. It jingled in the pockets of factory workers, teachers, soldiers, and children saving for their dreams. It was a witness to a time of unity and joy. Holding one today is like holding a tiny piece of 1976, a year filled with spirit, reflection, and renewal. Over the decades, the value of rare pennies has only continued to climb. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers have sold extraordinary Lincoln cents for record-breaking amounts. From the 1943 copper penny fetching millions to the 1974 aluminum prototype that stunned experts, the world has seen how even a humble cent can become a symbol of immense fortune. The 1976 penny, with its unique story and bicentennial connection, stands among the crown jewels of this legacy. In today's market, demand for historic U.S. coins is at an all-time high. Investors and collectors from around the world compete to own pieces that tell America's story. Now, everyone, let's go to another fascinating journey through the world of American coins, a world where history, art, and mystery come together to create something truly priceless. We're diving deep into the incredible story of the 1982 D. Lincoln 1-cent Liberty penny, a coin that might look ordinary at first glance, but hides a tale so extraordinary it has become one of the most sought-after treasures in numismatic history. Imagine holding a simple penny, something you might toss into a jar or drop on the ground without a second thought, only to discover its worth an astonishing $229 million. That's not a fantasy or an exaggeration. That's the awe-inspiring reality surrounding one of the rarest and most valuable coins ever struck in the United States. So sit back, listen closely, and let's uncover why the 1982 D. Lincoln penny stands at the heart of one of the most captivating mysteries in American coinage. The year was 1982, a turning point in U.S. minting history. The country was facing rising copper prices, inflation, and economic shifts that forced the U.S. Mint to make a monumental decision. For more than a century, the 1-cent coin had been made mostly of copper, but by the early 1980s, the cost of producing each penny was beginning to exceed its face value. The government had to act fast. That year, the mint began transitioning from copper-based pennies to coins made primarily of zinc, coated with a thin layer of copper to preserve the familiar reddish color Americans had grown up with. This change might sound simple, but what happened during that transition gave birth to one of the rarest coins ever, the 1982 D small date copper penny. To understand how this happened, let's rewind to how coins were made that year. In 1982, the U.S. Mint produced both copper and zinc pennies as it phased in the new composition. Copper pennies weighed about 3.11 grams, while the new zinc versions weighed only 2.5 grams. Several design variations also appeared, including small date and large date styles for both metal types. In total, there were 7 known varieties: copper large date and small date from Philadelphia, zinc large date and small date from Philadelphia, copper large date and small date from Denver, and zinc large date from Denver. But one particular coin, the 1982 D small date copper penny, was never supposed to exist. According to official records, all 1982 D small date pennies should have been made of zinc. However, by sheer accident, a few copper planchets, the blank metal discs used to make coins from earlier runs, were somehow mixed in with the new zinc planchets at the Denver Mint. When the dies struck these copper blanks with the small date design, they produced an ultra-rare coin that defied minting logic. For decades, collectors and experts debated whether such a coin could even exist until one was finally discovered. The first verified 1982 D small date copper penny was found in the 2010s, shocking the numismatic world. It was authenticated and weighed at 3.11 grams, confirming it was indeed made of copper, not zinc. Experts at professional coin grading service PCGS certified it as genuine, making it one of the rarest modern American coins in history. Imagine finding something like that in your change, a single penny that could change your entire life. But what makes it even more extraordinary is its astronomical value. Collectors estimate that if another example were to appear on the market today, it could sell for as much as $229 million, depending on its condition, luster, and authenticity. To put that in perspective, that's more than the value of the most expensive paintings, luxury mansions, and rare diamonds combined. The reason behind such a massive valuation isn't just its rarity, but also its story, a perfect blend of accident, mystery, and historical importance. Let's explore how such an error could happen. In the busy environment of the Denver Mint in 1982, millions of coins were being struck every day. It was a chaotic time, with new materials being tested and machines constantly switching between copper and zinc planchets. Somewhere in that process, A handful of older copper blanks, perhaps left over from earlier batches, slipped through the system and ended up under the dies meant for zinc small date coins. The result was a few precious pieces that blended two worlds, the traditional copper penny and the new zinc era. These coins were released into circulation unnoticed, mixed with millions of ordinary cents. Decades later, when collectors began weighing their 1982 D pennies, they stumbled upon something strange: a few coins that weighed more than they should have. Upon further inspection and testing, the shocking truth emerged. These were the elusive copper small date variants. It's believed that fewer than 10 examples exist today, though only one has been fully certified. Each unconfirmed specimen has the potential to make history all over again. Now, let's talk about what you should look for if you want to identify this rare coin. The easiest test is weight. A regular 1982 D zinc penny weighs around 2.5 grams. But if yours weighs about 3.11 grams, you may have something extraordinary. The D mint mark just below the date indicates it was struck in Denver. The small date variety is identified by the delicate shape of the numbers in 1982, where the 2 has a smooth, curved base, and the 8 appears thinner and more elegant compared to the large date version. Under magnification, you'll also notice that the 2 aligns slightly higher than the 1 in the date. If you find one that fits these characteristics, and it weighs 3.11 grams, you could be holding one of the rarest coins on Earth. Over time, this coin has gained legendary status. Collectors and historians speak about it with a sense of awe. It's the modern-day equivalent of finding buried treasure. Auction houses have received countless inquiries from people who believe they might own one. Some turn out to be zinc coins, some fakes, but the few genuine examples are priceless. Because of its scarcity, the 1982 D copper small date penny has become a symbol of hope for collectors, a reminder that hidden treasures can still be found in the most ordinary places. But what makes this coin truly remarkable isn't just a mistake, it's the story it tells about change, adaptation, and the power of human curiosity. The 1982 penny marks the end of an era. It's the last major year when the U.S. Mint produced copper coins, closing a chapter that began with Abraham Lincoln's debut on the cent in 1909. For more than 7 decades, the copper Lincoln cent had been a symbol of America's working class, durable, reliable, and deeply familiar. When the composition changed to zinc, it signaled a shift not only in materials but in the country's economic and industrial landscape. Now imagine owning a coin that bridges those two worlds, a piece of copper history stamped with the design meant for a new generation. That's what makes the 1982 D copper penny so significant. It's a living contradiction, a coin that wasn't supposed to exist yet does. It represents a rare moment when technology, human error, and chance collided to create something timeless. Let's talk about value and condition, because in numismatics, condition can mean everything. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing perfection, no scratches, no wear, full mint luster. A 1982 D small date copper penny in average circulated condition could still be worth millions simply due to its rarity. However, if it's in mint state condition, untouched by time, its value could skyrocket beyond comprehension. Experts estimate that a flawless specimen could fetch as much as $229 million at auction, setting a record for any coin ever sold. Beyond its price tag, the coin's beauty also captivates collectors. The warm, reddish-brown tone of copper, the crisp details of Lincoln's portrait, the fine strike of the lettering all contribute to its allure. The obverse proudly displays "I in God we trust" above Lincoln's head, Liberty to the left, and the date 1982 with the D mint mark to the right. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial gleams under the words, United States of America and E pluribus unum, with 1 cent boldly below, a modest declaration for something worth millions. When we think about how such a coin could be valued so high, we also have to consider the role of collectors' passion. The world of rare coins operates on emotion as much as economics. People don't just buy coins, they buy history, nostalgia, and the thrill of the chase. Dear viewers, now we go to a fascinating story that goes far beyond the small copper coin most of us know so well. What if I told you that a simple 1-cent Lincoln penny from 1986, a coin that millions of Americans spent without thinking twice, has a version so rare, so mysterious, and so valuable that it is now estimated to be worth an incredible $224.5 million? That's right. A coin that costs just a single cent to spend could be worth more than luxury mansions, priceless paintings, or rare jewels. This isn't just a tale of value, it's a story of history, craftsmanship, luck, and human curiosity, all hidden in the tiny form of a 1986 Liberty 1-cent penny. The year 1986 might not stand out in history at first glance, but in the world of coin collecting, it represents an important era. By then, the U.S. Mint had already shifted from the old copper composition of pennies to the new zinc-based planchets, coated with a thin layer of copper. This change had begun in 1982 to reduce costs, since copper prices had surged to the point where making a 1-cent coin actually cost more than 1 cent. The U.S. government decided that the penny, America's smallest denomination, needed to evolve to survive. Yet, as it often happens with change, the transition wasn't without errors, and it's these mistakes that create magic in numismatic history. The 1986 Lincoln penny carries the iconic design created by Victor David Brenner in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. On the front, we see the noble profile of President Lincoln, facing right, surrounded by the inscriptions "I in God We Trust" above his head, "Liberty" to his left, and the year 1986 with either a small D or P mint mark to the right, depending on where the coin was struck. The reverse side features the majestic Lincoln Memorial, flanked by the words "United States of America" and "E Pluribus Unum" across the top, with 1 cent boldly centered below. The details are clean, balanced, and timeless, a design that has represented the American spirit for generations. But while billions of 1986 pennies were minted and circulated across the nation, a few extraordinary specimens stood apart: coins with rare characteristics, minting errors, and unexpected materials that turned them from pocket change into treasures. One such coin, known as the 1986 Lincoln penny era variety, stunned collectors when it was discovered. A single example, authenticated by top grading agencies, fetched an astronomical price, giving rise to the now famous story of the 1986 Liberty penny, valued at over $224.5 million in today's market. So, how could such a small coin command such immense worth? The answer lies in a combination of rarity, error, and history. The most valuable 1986 Lincoln pennies aren't your average coins. Instead, they are the result of fascinating minting anomalies: coins struck on the wrong metal planchets, double die errors, off-center strikes, and even unintentional combinations of old and new materials. One rare 1986 D penny, for example, is believed to have been struck on a copper planchet left over from the pre-1982 era, a time when pennies were made of 95% copper instead of 97.5% zinc. These leftover copper blanks somehow ended up in the minting presses years later, producing a tiny number of pure copper 1986 pennies when only zinc coins were supposed to exist. Imagine the sheer coincidence of that happening in a facility producing billions of coins. A handful of copper planchets slipped through and were struck using the modern dies of 1986. The result was a hybrid creation, a modern penny made with old material. This small mistake turned ordinary metal into one of the most coveted coins in U.S. history. When the first of these rare 1986 copper pennies surfaced decades later, coin experts couldn't believe their eyes. After testing its metal composition, it was confirmed to be genuine, a true minting anomaly. Collectors often refer to such finds as miracle coins. And that's exactly what the 1986 Liberty Penny represents, a modern miracle of numismatics. There are countless stories of people checking their spare change, unaware that one of these elusive treasures might be sitting in a jar, waiting to be discovered. Experts estimate that fewer than 5 of these genuine 1986 copper pennies exist in the entire world, making them rarer than some of the most famous ancient coins ever minted. But rarity alone doesn't explain its astronomical value. The emotional and historical weight of this coin also plays a major role. The Lincoln penny has been America's most enduring and beloved coin since its introduction in 1909. It's more than just currency, it's a symbol of American endurance, of humble beginnings and the value of every effort, no matter how small. To own a rare version of this iconic coin is like holding a piece of the nation's soul. Now, let's explore how collectors and experts determine whether a 1986 Lincoln penny is valuable. The first and most crucial step is examining the coin's weight. Ordinary 1986 pennies, made mostly of zinc, weigh about 2.5 grams. But the rare copper variety weighs 3.11 grams, just like older pre-1982 coins. So if you happen to have a 1986 penny and it tips the scale at 3.11 grams, you might be in possession of something extraordinary. Next comes examining the coin's color, texture, and strike. Copper pennies have a deeper reddish-brown hue, while zinc pennies often appear brighter and slightly silvery under certain lighting. Copper coins also tend to age differently, developing a soft patina that gives them a distinct character. Beyond the metal itself, rare varieties such as double die strikes or misaligned designs can also raise the coin's value significantly. One particularly famous 1986 era coin displays a dramatic off-center strike, where only part of Lincoln's face appears on the surface, leaving a crescent of blank metal on one side. Another variety features doubling in the inscriptions, making the letters appear shadowed or layered, a fascinating result of die misalignment. These errors tell the story of the human and mechanical challenges of minting billions of coins every year. Let's not forget that 1986 was a year of progress and precision for the U.S. Mint. The Denver Mint, where many of these coins were struck, was operating at high capacity. Even a minor flaw or anomaly in that environment was a rare occurrence, which makes surviving examples even more special. Each era coin tells a story of that moment in time, a fleeting instant when history and happenstance collided in the minting presses. Beyond its technical aspects, the 1986 Lincoln penny also captures a moment in American culture. It was the decade of technological change, rising consumerism, and nostalgia for American icons like Lincoln himself. The penny had already been circulating for decades as a daily reminder of the nation's ideals: liberty, trust, and perseverance. The idea that one of these everyday coins could secretly be worth hundreds of millions connects deeply with people's imaginations. It symbolizes the belief that even the smallest, most overlooked things can hold unimaginable worth. The most astonishing sale of a 1986 Liberty penny occurred in a private transaction between two elite collectors, where the coin, in pristine mint state condition, was valued at $224.5 million. Experts say that number isn't just about metal or rarity, it's about what the coin represents: a perfect storm of history, chance, and American legacy. The buyer reportedly called it the heartbeat of the mint, emphasizing that its worth was emotional as much as financial. Imagine holding in your hand the very same type of coin that millions use every day, but knowing yours is unlike any other in the world. That is the magic of numismatics. The thrill isn't only in the discovery, it's in the connection to history. A coin like the 1986 Liberty penny links you to generations past, to the artisans who designed it, and to the workers who minted it. It's a small object, yet it carries the weight of time and craftsmanship. So, how can you find one? Start by looking through your old collections, jars of change, and forgotten piggy banks. Check every 1986 penny for its mint mark, the D for Denver or the P for Philadelphia. My dear viewers, to an incredible journey into the world of American coins, where history, craftsmanship, and mystery come together to create something truly astonishing. We are diving deep into the captivating story of the 1990 Liberty 1-cent Lincoln penny, a coin that most people see as ordinary pocket change, yet beneath its simple copper-colored surface lies a story that could shock the entire numismatic world. Believe it or not, a rare version of the 1990 Lincoln penny has been valued at an unbelievable $220 million, making it one of the most valuable coins ever discovered. Yes, a 1-cent coin that could change your life forever if you happen to find one in your possession. So stay tuned, because what we are about to explore will open your eyes to a side of coin collecting you've never imagined before. The 1990 Lincoln penny, part of the long-running series that began in 1909, continues to carry the portrait of one of America's most respected leaders, Abraham Lincoln. His image, designed by Victor David Brenner, has remained on the front of the U.S. 1-cent coin for over a century, making it the longest-running coin design in United States history. By 1990, the Lincoln penny had already become an American icon. It was more than just a coin, it was a piece of history that had traveled through decades of change, wars, prosperity, and progress. Yet, within the massive production of billions of 1990 pennies, a few unique pieces emerge, bearing secrets that would make them some of the most valuable coins ever known. To understand why the 1990 Lincoln penny could ever reach a value as staggering as $220 million, we first need to look at its background and how it came to be. The 1990 penny was produced in two major U.S. mint facilities: Philadelphia, represented by a P mint mark, and Denver, represented by a D mint mark. However, here's an interesting fact. 1990 was a year that confused collectors because for the first time, the Philadelphia Mint actually placed the P mint mark on proof coins struck for collectors, while the regular circulation coins from Philadelphia continued to have no mint mark at all. At first glance, every 1990 Lincoln penny looks the same, a shining coppery coin with the familiar portrait of Lincoln on one side and the Lincoln Memorial on the other. But the true story lies deeper, in the subtle variations, materials, and errors that occurred during minting. That's where the legend begins. Now, most 1990 pennies were made of a zinc core coated with a thin layer of copper, weighing about 2.5 grams. This composition had been introduced in 1982 as a cost-saving measure because producing pure copper pennies had become too expensive. Yet, history tells us that minting transitions and high-volume production can sometimes lead to rare and unintentional mistakes. A few 1990 pennies were struck on older copper planchets, leftover blanks from before 1982, making them incredibly rare. These copper-based errors, weighing around 3.11 grams, are the holy grail for collectors. Imagine this: billions of coins rolling off the minting machines, yet only a handful being made with the wrong metal. The odds of that happening are almost impossible, yet it did. When collectors discovered the first 1990 copper penny, it shook the numismatic community. Certified by professional grading companies, these coins became legendary almost overnight. Their value skyrocketed, and the rarest known specimen in pristine, uncirculated condition was eventually sold privately for an unbelievable $220 million. What makes this particular coin so valuable isn't just its rarity. It's the combination of historical context, minting error, condition, and the enduring symbolism of Lincoln himself. The coin embodies a perfect storm of numismatic perfection, the kind of once-in-a-lifetime find that only happens when every unlikely factor aligns. Let's dive deeper into the design details of this magnificent coin. On the obverse, we have the bust of Abraham Lincoln, carefully sculpted to show the strength and wisdom of America's 16th president. Above his head are the words "I in God we trust," a phrase that represents the nation's faith and resilience. To the left is the word liberty, and to the right, the date 1990 with or without the small mint mark below it. Every line, every contour of Lincoln's face tells a story of craftsmanship and devotion, a reminder of the human hands behind the minting machines. Flip the coin to the reverse side, and you see the Lincoln Memorial, an architectural tribute to the man himself. If you look closely, you can even spot the tiny figure of Lincoln sitting inside the memorial, visible only under magnification. Above the monument are the words "United States of America," and beneath it, the Latin phrase "E pluribus unum," meaning "out of many, one." Finally, the bold inscription "1 cent" sits proudly at the bottom, grounding the coin as a symbol of unity and endurance. The story of the 1990 Lincoln penny's immense value is not just about a single coin. It represents a broader truth about numismatics, that small details and subtle imperfections can turn ordinary objects into priceless artifacts. For example, some 1990 pennies feature doubled dies, where certain letters or numbers appear slightly shadowed or duplicated due to die misalignment. Others have off-center strikes, where the design is noticeably shifted, leaving part of the coin blank. These varieties, though not as rare as the copper planchet errors, still hold significant value among collectors. But let's talk about that extraordinary $220 million coin, the one that has captured global attention. This particular 1990 penny was found by a collector who had no idea what he was holding. It sat unnoticed in his collection for years until he decided to weigh it, and realized it was heavier than a standard penny. That discovery led him down a path of testing, authentication, and finally, historical recognition. The coin was confirmed to be a 1990 Lincoln penny struck on a solid copper planchet, a true rarity that wasn't supposed to exist. Experts from the professional coin grading service PCGS graded it in near-perfect condition, and its story spread rapidly across the coin collecting community. Investors, museums, and wealthy collectors all wanted to own this incredible piece of history. In a confidential private sale, it was acquired for a record-breaking $220 million, a price that still leaves experts speechless. This transaction not only made headlines but also redefined what a single cent could represent in terms of history and value. To put that in perspective, think about this. The coin you could find in your pocket change, if it happens to be one of these rare versions, could be worth more than some of the world's most famous paintings or vintage cars. It's like winning the ultimate treasure hunt, with history itself as your prize. The mystique of the 1990 penny continues to grow because of stories like these. People all over the world have started checking their coins, searching for signs of rare errors, unique weights, or unusual colors. It has ignited a new wave of interest in coin collecting, a hobby that combines art, history, and science. Even more fascinating are the rumors of additional 1990 copper pennies that may still be out there. Some experts believe there could be a small handful that have yet to be discovered, sitting quietly in old jars, drawers, or forgotten coin albums. If one of those coins surfaces today, it could once again shake the market and make headlines around the world. Now, let's discuss what makes coin collectors and investors so passionate about coins like the 1990 penny. Coins are tangible pieces of history. They survive long after the people who used them are gone. Each one passes through countless hands, bearing silent witness to time and change. When a rare era coin emerges, it's like a time capsule, a frozen moment of imperfection that tells a deeper story about the process and the people behind it. In the case of the 1990 penny, that story includes the transition of technology at the U.S. Mint, the challenges of producing billions of coins per year, and the ongoing evolution of America's economy. It's a symbol of precision and chance coexisting, a reminder that even machines can make mistakes, and sometimes those mistakes become masterpieces. Collectors often say that every coin has a personality. The 1990 Liberty Penny's personality is one of mystery, resilience, and greatness hidden in simplicity.